Today we're testing the electrics on Halton Warren 009's Fiddle Yard. Hi, welcome back to Halton Warren 009. I'm Mark, and firstly an apology. It's been absolutely ages since I've put up a video about the railway. That's basically because I haven't been down the shed. This is the first time in months I've actually got down here. I have had to do some tidying up and get the place sorted out. We've been doing a project in the garden, so this got used more as a shed rather than a railway room. So but that's finished, that's out of the way, and various things have been happening. So back in March I retired. Couldn't do any work up to March because the weather was not good. This shed is like 6 foot 6 wide, I don't know, 10 foot long, so it's not ideal, and the railway runs on both sides, so there's no room in here to work on constructing baseballs and stuff. Has to be done outside. Weather's been appalling, so I haven't been able to do that. Then when I retired, it kind of hit me. Wasn't expecting how life changes. The good side of that is that I was expecting to get down in the shed one day a week, and although I do help out with the housework and cooking and bits and pieces like that, I've got loads of time on my hands, so hopefully I can get down here 2 or 3 times a week, especially since she goes out 2 or 3 times a week as well. So anyway, enough waffling. What you've start watching the video for is you want me to see what I'm going to do about testing this the electrics on the Fiddle Yard. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, so here we can see the left hand end of the Fiddle Yard. Each of these curves is a storage area for a different train. The first 4 can take 1 engine and 3 coaches. The far one can only take 1 engine and 2 coaches. That's because we haven't got the benefit of the extra length created by the point, so it's slightly shorter and it won't get a 3-car train in. Each of these has to be isolated because it's part of the block detection, and obviously it has to be isolated, so we only pick up the train that's on that track at that time. These are numbered, so we've got G for green. The Fiddle Yard is the green section of the power district, so it's the green power district for the railway. Each area of the railway is split into a different power district, and they're colour coded, so I've got blue, green, red and yellow, and this is obviously the green with the letter G. So as I say, these are isolated on one side for the block detection. G29 means that we're in the green power district. 29 is the port that is on the DigiKeys DR4088, which is the block detection unit that I'm using. So it just, for when I'm wiring, I know which port it's going in and which loop it actually ties up with. Now obviously I've got to make sure that these are isolated, so what we've got to do is get out the multimeter, and I think the battery might be going a little bit on here, but if we do this one in the middle, G31, we turn the multimeter on to continuity, and just to make sure it's working, we can test 2 parts of the same rail in the loop. So if we touch here and here, we get the signal showing. I think the battery's going a bit on here. If we do the inside and the outside, there's no signal. If we do the inside and the point, there's no signal. And again, if we do the inside and the point at this end, there's no signal. And there shouldn't be a signal by touching any of the other rails around here, so we know that section's isolated. What we've also got to check is that the wire that runs from here up to the DR4088 is making a good connection, and that we will be able to get the power and the DCC signal through. So the red wire is here. If you can just see the back of that, it's don't know how close I can get with it going into focus or not. That says block G31, so we know this wire is connected to that rail, and all we have to do is check that wire on one of the probes of the multimeter and then just touch it on the other side, and yes, we've got good connectivity. So that, with that, I'm happy that that rail is isolated. I'm happy that that will connect properly up to the DR4088. All I've got to do now is check the others, but we won't do that at the moment. We'll move on to the points. Okay, similar to the different sections on here, the points have all been numbered as well. So we've got 13, 14, 15 and 16 at the top. At the bottom here we've got 17, 18, 19 and just off view is 20 and 21. 21 is the point where the track comes in off the Fiddle Yard and then splits one way or the other. That's also the start of the reversing loop, but we don't have to worry about that today. As I say, this is not connected up to I-trains and or the block detection, the reversing loop module. So at the moment we can treat this as separately. What we have got to do is make sure these points are working correctly though. So if I can just zoom you in carefully and not lose everything, we'll go on to point number 17 because that's quite convenient. Okay, at the moment this point is set as normal, so the train's coming through here, we'll carry on and go straight out. And we want to check that the wiring is correct on the point motor so that we can throw the point from normal to reverse. So as I say, this isn't connected up with I-trains, but what I can do is use a 9-volt battery. Now as I say, this is point 17. The cable colours I use, or the wire colours I use, are yellow and blue for the point motors, and if I can get that coming into focus about there, you can see that says GP17. As I already said, the Fiddle Yard is in the green power district, so we've got G for green there, P is for point, and 17 is obviously the point number. So we know we've got the correct wires. Now the way I've wired this up is all the point motors have got a yellow and blue wire, as I say. The blue wire is the one that activates to go throw the point to normal. Sorry, hesitated there. If I touch that on to connect the blue to the positive and the yellow to the negative on any of the points I've got on here, they should all throw so that they are in a normal position. So if I just turn that round, versa versa, if I put the blue on the negative and then the yellow on the positive, and if I haven't got my big fat hands in the way, I'll try and get the battery on. No, still there. Okay, hopefully you'll see the point is thrown over. Okay, if I just move that out of the way, I'll turn the battery round, put the blue on the positive. At the moment the point's set in reverse, and now it's going back to normal. Okay, so we know that the this point is wired up the way I want it to be. When using the blue wire on the plus and the yellow wire on the negative, it throws the point to the normal and vice versa. So that's the way I want it to work. So I know I've wired them up right. Now what I've got to do is check that there's conductivity throughout the point. So while it's in the normal position, what we can get is the multimeter again. I won't put it into the screen because you're not actually reading anything on it. We can hear the beep if the battery hasn't died on me. So what we need to do is we need to check that the power is on the stop rail, or the stock rail. It's through the blade correctly, which it is, and then it's into the frog correctly, which it is. So we know now that that feed goes correctly from this side of the point, onto the correct blade, onto the frog correctly. Now if I get my battery back and we just swap these back on, so we're in normal at the moment, so we want to put blue on the negative and yellow on the positive, and the blade switches into the reverse direction. Now we can just test the other side. So we want to make sure now that this side puts through a signal to this side, to the blade, which it does, and to the frog it does. If we check this rail over here, there's no feed. If we check it over here, there's no feed. Everything else is live. So if I touch the blade on that side, although we've got the continuity there, it's not touching this rail on this side, so we won't get a short. So this proves that the blades are picking up the power, which means the train will carry on. The frog's picking up the correct power because we are testing that it's taking the power from this side through the frog. It's not going from this side onto the frog, which means we won't get a short, or shouldn't get a short, when the train goes through that point. Hopefully that makes sense. So we've checked the point, we know which the throw is correct, we've checked the connectivity through it as well, the continuity, and we know that the blades and the frog all work correctly. So I've wired up hopefully the point motors, because that makes sure that they throw the right way. The point motors also change the polarity of the frog, which seems to be working correctly as well. So there we are, we've got the electrics tested. Okay, so that's the electrics all tested. Just one thing, some of you might have spotted the shirts change. The missus did drag me up the garden centre, so that's out of the way now. We had to have lunch while we were there as well, so it's kind of drawn things out a bit. Anyway, back to this. The electrics, as far as I'm concerned, are now tested. I know that everything that needs to be isolated is isolated. I know that the points throw correctly. I know that the frogs operate correctly, and that the point motors are changing the polarity, I can never say that, the polarity correctly, so that when the points, whatever way the points are set for, the frog will coincide with that, will work with that, there won't be any issues, hopefully. So a couple of pointers just to clarify on. As I said, I use blue and yellow wires for powering the point motors, and as I said, all the point motors are wired so that if I touch the positive on the battery and with the blue and the negative with the yellow, the points will get thrown to normal. If I change these round so the yellow is on the positive, the blue is on the negative, all the points will throw to the reverse. Now that's simply so that I know that when I come to wire up the DigiKeys DR4018, it should be easy. It's just yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue. I'm sure I'm going to find that doesn't work, but that's what I'm aiming at. So that's that. The other one is points themselves. When I was looking into doing this and using the Cobalt point motors, I saw a video on YouTube, and I'm pretty certain it was Charlie Bishop, was saying you needed to take the springs out of them. Okay, they look a bit fragile for playing around like that. Anyway, popping down to AGR Model Railways in Leighton Buzzard, my local shop, I spoke to Anthony, and he confirmed it. Yes, the springs should come out. So I got home and I took the springs out of one of the points, and it basically fell apart in my hands. The blades just came loose, and it looked like the spring was not only clipping the blades in place once they're thrown left or right, they actually kept the pressure on to keep the blades pushed into the actual points and stop them slotting out. So I was worried that if I start bringing out all the springs, all my points would fall apart. And when you're talking of what here, 10 sets of 1, 2, 3, 8, 9. So yeah, go on, say 10, it's easy to work out. 10 sets of points at £7 odd each, that's 70 quid. I didn't want to lose 70 quid of points falling apart, so I left the springs in. I put all this together at the end of last year. Before I'd start doing the video, I thought I'll give it a go and make sure that with the springs in, the points will work. No. But they kind of worked. Some of them wouldn't throw at all because the point motors were fighting against the springs. Some of them, the spring would let the point motor throw it one way but not the other, and then some of them it would not let the blades close properly on the points. So what I've done is had to work through all 9 points and remove the springs. Bit of a chore in some of them because it meant I had to lift the points, lift the track, lift the points, take the little metal cap off the back and take the spring out. Some of them I was dead lucky. I got a fine pair of tweezers, could get between the sleepers, and I could spring the spring, or sorry, pop the spring. Sounds a bit better, doesn't it? Anyway, that was all done, and yeah, it's made a hell of a lot of difference. The point motors now smoothly, as you've seen with that point number 17, moved the blades from side to side, and it's a lot better. I think I would have ended up with a huge amount of work, keep adjusting points, and I'm not sure they would have worked properly even then with the springs left in. So going forward with the rest of the layout, I now know that I've got to take those springs out. Next is that I know this works, all the electrics on here. What I need to know is that the track and the points won't snag or throw off locos or coaches. So that's the next thing I've got to do, is check those. I haven't got the loco down here at the moment. They're upstairs together with the coaches, together with my NCE power cab. I'm cooking dinner tonight, I think, so I'm going to call it a day here. And then she's out tomorrow. What's she doing tomorrow? Pilates. So she's out for a couple of hours tomorrow, and I can get down here and just give those a go. Okay, as I say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so we're going to have a little play with a train and a wagon or coach just to see if there's any derailments or any other issues now that the electrics seem to be tested and okay. So what we got here, at the back here we've got my programming track, and that's connected up to my power cab. What I've done as well is I've terminated, I was going to say, all of the feeders. There's on these 2 blocks, looks a bit of a rat's nest down here. Now the only ones that aren't connected here at the moment is the loop at the back here, if you can see it in the mess. It splits somewhere around here, not sure where, there it is, just found it. So this section and this section aren't wired up into these blocks. Now these blocks are wired up so that the power cab can feed into all the other track around the layout. The reason why these ones aren't done is this is the reversing loop, and if I was to wire these in at the moment without any device there, I'd probably end up with a short. So I've left those 2 unconnected. These 2 are connected because obviously I want to be able to back the train like a little head shunt, I suppose. I want to be able to get the train in there, change the points and come back out again. Right, shall we see how we get on? Okay, let's try this with a loco. Now I'm going to use my Pug. Yeah, it's a Daplo or Airfix kit. I built it because I had spare time at lunchtimes at work. I wasn't allowed off the site at one of the buildings I worked in. Yeah, as I say, people don't like Pugs on 009. I can see why. If we bring the Pug over here for a moment and then put that back next to a Baldwin, you see the difference in size. Although I've got little people in here, and this is 4mm scale, it's over scale, it's over gauged, whatever the word is. It's too big. Something that big on light rails, would it cause damage? I don't know. They look nice. As I say, it was a little project, and it's ideal for a little test engine, but I won't be using it, I don't think, when I'm actually got the railway finished, and it's more this size engine I'll be using. Anyway, let's get rid of the Baldwin. Put the Pug on the rails. Hopefully that's lined up. Hopefully you're still in shot. Okay, going to use the power cab. So it's select loco, and it's loco number 5. Enter. Direction, I think it's reverse. And then bring the speed up, see how we get on. Okay, so there's a little clip there. And as you saw, there was a little stool at the back there. That might be the points are dirty. Anyway, change direction and then bring it back again. Oh, it's got caught on the wires this end, so that needs sorted out. Yeah, it's definitely a clip there. And it almost derailed here. So the engine goes through. It doesn't cause a short on the points. We'll try each one as well, but a little bit worried there. This is quite a heavy loco, it might be alright. And I have got a carriage here, so I'll just get that. I'll switch you off for a second while I put it on the track. Right, I have got two coaches out. I've got my observation and I've got a third and brake. Now the difference between these are that this one has got about 10 passengers in, and they are white metal, so it's added some weight to it. This one's got no passengers in and it's very light. So this is the one I'm just going to use to see how it goes over these points and that gap in the line. So if we just put that on. Okay, they're so tricky because you can't see the rails with the wheels. Right, so if we just gently push this up, it is definitely very bumpy over that gap and where the misalignment is. So if we push it back, they are derailed. The first bogie got over right, the second one didn't, it caught on there and went over. So I'm going to lift this piece of track, relay it to get rid of the gap and hopefully get the rails realigned. Now what's happened is there's a gap in between the ends of the rails and I'm using insulating fish plates which are made of plastic, and there's a fair bit of movement on. They're so delicate, being N-gauge ones or OO9 ones, so you really need those rails butted up so there's not that movement and the plastic fish plates can't move around. So close the gap up and that will hopefully resolve that. And as I say, I've got a dead spot up here somewhere. It's maybe the track's just a bit dirty, but I've got to look. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I cleaned that this morning, so obviously didn't do a good job. Anyway, so there's a bit of track cleaning, check some dead spots and get any gaps and alignments sorted out. I could show you doing the other 4 loops. You don't really want to sit there while I do a bit of fettling for the next hour or so. So I'm going to wind up in the shed at the moment looking at the layout, and what I'll do is just a little closing clip, so I'll see you in a minute. Well, there you go then, that's the testing done. It's obviously thrown up a few issues, so there's a bit of fettling needed here or there. Not sure what the issue is over the back there with the loco keeps sticking. I thought it might be dirty rails, so I've re-cleaned the track, didn't make a difference. I've tried the Pug again and I've also tried the Baldwin and both stick there, so that's not improved the situation either. I don't know what it is. It's I'll find out. Anyway, so bit of fettling and then this is all done. Hopefully I'll retest it after I've done that. Now the process that I've used to test this, I actually followed a video by McKinley Railway, and this is some time ago now because it's their video number 18, which was operational reliability, testing track and electrics. And I followed exactly what they've done. There are a couple of other points I need to do once it's connected up to iTrains, but I've got the basics done. Now, for their testing, they used a multimeter like I did. The improvement they had on theirs, I suppose, was the fact that if they had a short, the multimeter bleeps at them. I haven't got that function on mine, so I just had to assume that going round that there was no continuity between 2 areas, then I wouldn't end up with a short. That's since been proven because I've now had an engine running round over the points and over the track, and I've suffered from no shorts at all, so that's good. As I say, I used a multimeter, they used a multimeter. You don't have to use a multimeter, there are other tools out there. This is just a simple probe. It's from Rapid Test and it's electrical test probe, and you literally put your probes on, push a button. If it bleeps it, you've got continuity. If it doesn't bleep, you haven't. There's a couple of other functions on here, but it's very basic. And if you want the real basic one, Larry Puckett, the DCC guy from his channel Model Railroading, he's done a video where he's done similar sort of testing as well, and that's video number 282, control, frog and track polarity, got it right that time, without shorts. And he's just used the track power. He's got a bulb with 2 wires soldered to it, and on the end of the wires he's got crocodile clips, and he literally just clips it or taps it on the track. If the light bulb lights up, there's continuity. If it doesn't, then there isn't. So a really straightforward one, that. 2 more videos, so I'll make a list of these down in the see more below. I was talking about the points, and when I first looked into this project I saw a video somewhere, and I thought it was Charlie Bishop, about having to take the springs out of the points. So I've gone through and gone through and gone through, and I finally found it, and it was Charlie Bishop at Chadwick Model Railway. It was his video number 117, so again it's an old video, but it was titled Building a Fiddle Yard. And at the 11-minute 20-second point, he's talking about how to modify your points. Now he's obviously talking about 00, but the same thing slightly applies here. I was going to say the same thing applies, but Charlie actually shows how to rewire the 00 points to make them function better. But the bit that the same bit here is the fact that he removed the spring. And he shows you how to do it, as I say, at 11 minutes 20-second mark on that video. So while looking for that video, I also came against another one from Chadwick Model Railway. So again it was Charlie's, and it was video number 158. Now that's his spring update. I'm probably sure that that was last year. Now towards the beginning of the video, at I think it was 2 minutes 45 seconds, he was explaining that there is some reliability issues with his points, especially the curved ones, with the blades moving. So they've either pulled away from the frog, which means there's a small gap which could cause derailments, or they've moved it sufficiently that the tapered end of the blades that should go into the little notches on the side rails, it's gone a bit further, it's moved, and it's now not going into the notch, it's resting on the rail, which again is causing a little kink and derailing stuff. So he's come up with a way of solving that, which is plasticard, and so I've put some slithers of plasticard in mine to try and keep mine straight as well. But as I say, that's all explained in his video, so he's well, all these people are better placed to explain things to you than I am. So those 4 videos are listed in the see more below. And basically that's it for this video. Once this is the fettle is done on the Fiddle Yard and the testing's redone to make sure it all runs nice and smoothly, I will get it bolted down to the frame at the bottom here. Once it's in place and bolted down, I can start on the Fiddle Yard. So hopefully by Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday next week, all the fettling will be done and this will be running smoothly. So Wednesday, Thursday, she's not out Wednesdays, Thursdays, she's out Thursdays, I can hopefully start on the Fiddle Yard. So that will be the next video, and that will hopefully be, what, week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at a push. So I'll see you then. Up to then, looks like summer's here, although it's forecast for rain and thunderstorms with us tomorrow, but summer looks like it's here. It's nice and warm out there the day, so enjoy the summer, enjoy your model railwaying, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.